Today on VIP TV, we got Derry Mathews. I haven't spoken to him for quite a while, but we used to do quite a lot of work together. Went to Las Vegas together for Box Nation when he was a pundit. Now, unfortunately, he's not boxing anymore because it was a career everyone wanted to watch, and it was always exciting fights, win, lose, draw, whatever. It was always fun and always in great fights. And now you're trying to make your name as a trainer, Derry. How's that going?
Yeah, listen, I'm enjoying this part of the rope, Steve. Not taking the shots, which is good for me. But at the same time, I like to pass on my knowledge from the young age of kids, from the age of 8 right through to the professionals. I currently have Jazza Dickens as a top pro now, but even the little kids I've got in the gym, you know, the same effort what I put into Jazza got to go into them. It's about grassroots boxing and building them up and going along that line.
Yeah. So what other pros you got? Is Jazza your own? I thought you had a few more pros besides Jazza.
We've got Jazza, Jake Farrell, the big cruiserweight.
Yeah.
We've got Mishak Spears.
Yeah.
Another good fighter. Another one of Tony Bellew's fighters. In the middle of turning over Brian Collins, a kid from Kirby, good amateur background. Not too many fights, but he's capable of doing good things as a professional. And another young kid, Josh Wright, who's from the Salisbury, the same amateur club I went to. Good talent, big puncher with a lightweight. He was also part of the Tony Chandler Boxing Academy, what was run up in Manchester, Anthony Collins, at Joe Gallagher's, Gallagher's gym. He played on that. He was there for 2 years, and so we're in a good place. Not too many professionals, but that's what I always want, a small team to put everything into it.
I was just talking to about 10 minutes ago. I was going to speak to you. I was speaking to Barry Jones about you. And Barry we were talking about trainers, and I said I was going to speak to you. And he was saying how he thinks you'll become a good trainer, not because you've been in the game for years, because of how deep you've had to go on fights at times. So when a kid has to dig deep, you'll know how far he has to go. That was one of his reasons.
Yeah, and I've been in big fights. I've been in tough fights, and it's about looking after your fighter as well. And I always believe that George Vaughan and Danny Vaughan looked after, and Oliver Harrison, I should say, the late Oliver, they always looked after me. If there was fights where he had to be pulled out, they pulled me out. And even in sparring and everything, I mean, I've had a few of the lads who've come to us late on in the career, and the first thing I said is they're well doing too much sparring. It's about looking after having a long career, and that's why I always say that's why I've had a long career with George and Danny. I had 52 fights, and it's about balancing the training, not having too many hard spars, not doing too much work. It's about being smart and being clever. And going back to what Barry said, I've had to dig deep in certain fights. I'll use the Tommy Coyle one for an instance where I never won a round up until the last round, and when I KO'd him. So I know I can punch. I know I can punch in, and it's about knowing the fighter, whether he's got a big punch or he's a small puncher, and going from there. It's about, as I always say, looking after the fighter. The fighter is the most important part of it.
Yeah. One thing you've been quite vocal about, something you touched on there, you had Oliver Harrison and, of course, Danny Vaughan and, George Vaughan, who is something else, is another level to so many trainers. You've been quite vocal on the people who are getting licenses these days. I think, I've seen a couple of articles who are just becoming trainers and, people who are just getting licenses. Is something you feel quite strongly about, is it?
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Listen, you don't have to be a boxer to be a coach. But back to what Barry said, when you're in a corner with someone and you've never put a pair of gloves on or never been punched in the face, how can you tell a kid to dig deep and go to the well? You haven't done it yourself. But again, not every good fighter makes a good coach. And the boxers always make the boxers you have in the stable always make a good coach, if you know what I mean. It's like people say, oh, he's the best coach in the world. You've got the best boxers. That's life. You've got a top stable. You're going to have the best fighters. So it's a tricky one, really. But at the same time, I wouldn't stop it. I wouldn't like more than anyone going to get work or to get a job. But there's so many personal trainers, I should say, who now are becoming boxing coaches. Stick to what you're good at. Let boxers and boxing coaches stick to what they're good at.
Yeah.
And a lot of them interfere a lot.
Yeah, you mentioned there about, the fighters and good fighters with trainers. But another thing, going back to the conversation with Barry, I said, we were, as I said, this conversation was about you. It was all good, so we weren't talking behind your back. Don't worry. No, what I said to him was also, you do need that bit of luck sometimes. There's a lot of really good trainers around who just don't get the really good kids. You do need that little bit of luck where you need that great fighter to walk in the gym to elevate you to another level where fighters want to travel around the country suddenly to be with you.
Yeah, you get and having, for instance, having a world champion in your camp attracts other fighters. It's common sense, and there's many good trainers out there who don't get the recognition they deserve. And I always say that I rate Al Smith from London. I think he's a tremendous coach. I think the only thing missing with him has been a world champion, maybe. I don't know whether he has had one before I've got to know him, but he's a top coach and a good person.
Yeah, he is.
I don't think he gets the recognition as a coach he deserves. Adam Bood, again, he's proved it, but he's proved it with top world-class fighters. Joe Gallagher, another great coach, but again, they've had world-class fighters. Every single person who's most probably gone in Joe Gallagher's gym and Adam Bood's gym have been a world-class fighter. They just need, tweaking a bit to become champions. And so the likes of Al Smith, I'll go with Oliver Harrison again. Oliver, for me, was a world-class trainer. Look at Martin Murray, for instance. He should have been a world champion. He should have been a world champion. And I don't think Oliver got the credit he deserved. Danny Vaughan, for me, I speak very highly of. World-class coach. We just never got that little, the full world title, what we plan to do. But I think with Sean McComb, I think he's got someone special in him. I think he can become a big time world champion.
And what about yourself? Are you going to get a world champion when Jazza fights Kid Galahad? Because it seems Jazza's come to yourself and George Vaughan. He seems to, he has kicked on. He was fancied for the golden contract to do well. But did many of us fancy him to win it, myself included? Maybe not.
I told everyone who's a better man to go and put your money on him. And without sounding disrespect to Walsh, I said Walsh should be the easiest fight. Styles make fights. And I had a feeling he was going to do the number on him. I told all my friends, they all won a few quid, a right few quid actually, on him. Lee Wood, another good fighter, he beat in it. And even the Ramos, the first fight, another tough fighter. So he's had 3 good fights. And, Jazz is a special fighter. Jazz for me, is a special fighter. He lived the life. He got the right personality. When he comes to us, again, I'll use the other coaches, what I've just mentioned. He just needed tweaking. Little things needed adjusting. Overtraining too much. George had to put the arm around. George had to put the arm around him, stop him doing things what he was doing. He got a strength and conditioning on coach on board. Carl from the university, he works with us. I've worked with them since I turned professional, so I've got a good bond, a good relationship with Carl. So we know we've got a good connection where you get certain boxing trainers, they don't work with the personal trainer their fighters working with, where for me, I've got to work with whoever's doing the conditioning part. And Jazz does more plyometrics than anything because we do the boxing circuits in here, what Georgie's had from day one. When I was a professional, we stick to the same programme and it's worked. And when Jazz had come, we just a few little tweaks, little changes, different things in the gym, less pads, more technical stuff, and he's enjoying it. And he's at the position where I think every fighter in the world will want to be.
Yeah. And how about George? Your sort of master, George Vaughan. How's he doing there?
No, he's fit. He's fitter now than ever. He's doing brilliant. Steve, he's at home now. Obviously, the gyms are closed. We've got a couple of the pros coming in. I think Jazz will start camp in a few weeks. We'll get George back in, but he's fit as a fiddle. And I hate to say this, he could be is he going to be the oldest coach to have a world champion?
Will he be the oldest?
He's got to be one of the oldest ever, I think, to have a world champion at the age of 82. He could be 83 at the time the fight's made, and it's good times. We're in a good position.
But that's a bit of history. But you tell George that afterwards, and he'll just shrug his shoulders and go, "Yeah."
There's another one as well. Steve. That will take the WBU world title out. What myself, Berkey, Cole Shaw, Neri, Colin Dunn. Forget the WBU. And forget the interim belt. What I won, which is the class as the regular now. Forget that. I don't think there's been a Scouts world champion coach.
No, I don't.
Bellew, Hawkinson, Conti,
in Ireland,
and the two Smith brothers.
That's
no scouts train them. So for George at the age of 82, it's going to be something special.
Would it be special to him though, or will he just see? He never, he's a lovely fella, but he does it, to him. Yeah, well, we won. That's it. He goes home, puts his feet up, and has his family.
If I mention that to me, I'll say, "Do me a favour." You know what I mean? You know what he's like. You know what he's like, Stephen. People know what he's like. But that's the way he is, and I think that's why he's so successful. He doesn't care if you're a world champion, if you're a British champion, a Commonwealth champion. If you're his fighter, you're getting the same treatment as anyone else, and that's all to it. And it's good. That's the best. Well, I've learned off him, if you know what I mean. I'm just trying to be the same as what George is, so our fighters who come in the gym know the same program. I look back at the Kronk gym as well. Manuel Stewart. I'm guessing the trainers he's had under him do the same program, the same structure. Obviously, they had their own little bits to it, but it's the same program. I guarantee that day in, day out, they know what they're doing. Anyone who goes to Kronk will know that. That was Emmanuel Stewart's program, and that's what I'm trying to work in here.
Yeah. Just going back to when you retired a few years ago, was it half a year afterwards when you finally retired for good, when you knew it was over?
No, I was made up. It was like a relief, Steve, if I'm honest. I remember in the changing rooms and Danny just said, that's it, we're done, aren't we? And well, he told me. He went, we're done. And I know when you think, fuck, yeah. It's like a relief got off my shoulders, Steve. I was like, fuck for that, it's done. Thank God for that. I can relax now. I can spend, at the time, my wife was pregnant. And I remember going back to the hotel bar with all my friends who come down to fight, who've been with me from day one, and we're all sitting there, and I was like, I just want to thank you all for coming and being with me when I've needed you at the lowest times and the high times. But thank God it's done. And some of my mates, Big Robbie Brundle, who's just MCing, he was like, thank fuck for that. He's my close friend in boxing, and he was like delighted. He was like, yes, that's it, we're done. And he said to me, if you ever step foot in the ring again, I'm going to hit it over the edge with a chair on the way to the ring.
I won't want him putting a chair over me at the size of it.
So I have friends who didn't want me to box on, Steve, which I think is a good thing, because you get too many fighters who hang around too much. And I'm sensible enough to know that I couldn't reach where I wanted to reach. And no disrespect to any of the British fighters now, but I think I could win a British title now. But I don't want to win a British title. I want to go on, and I know that I'm not good enough to go on. So it'd be a waste of time getting out of bed.
I tell you what, a few years ago when you were winning at lightweight, the Tony Luis around that era, you were there. What about these lightweights today? Like Lopez, Garcia, and Javonta moving up. How good's that division going to be right now?
I'd beat them now. No. For the money, Steve, it's great.
It's
for
great,
the money. Yeah, for the money, I just think I missed the boat on that one. But listen, and again, Luke Campbell for me. When you feel sorry for the certain fighters, you've got to feel sorry for Luke Campbell. He's a world-class fighter. A world-class fighter, but they're just too good at his weight. They're just... Put Luke Campbell in any other weight division and he wins a world title. That's the position he's in. So the lightweight division and even the 10 stone division, it's great, and it's only good for boxing. It's good for the fans.
Derry, fantastic talking to you today and getting your views and why life is as a trainer. And I'm sure people will enjoy listening to you and watching you.
No worries, Steve. Thanks for having me on, mate.
You take care.
Top man.
For all boxing info, news and latest interviews, amateur and pro, across the north, click and subscribe. VIP Boxing Promotions. Also Twitter, Instagram and Facebook.